All right, we are live on YouTube, and we are not live on TikTok because TikTok is annoying about this stuff. All right, so while I set this all up on TikTok, let me explain to our YouTube viewers what is going on. So, we have a potential nor'easter setup next week. Early next week, we're looking at the Monday through Wednesday time frame. And we're going to time it all out for you because it is a big travel weekend here, but it's also a huge week to get out there, go shopping, and, the holiday season is upon us. And now, kind of throwing in another winter storm in the mix, going to make things a little bit harder. So, all right, now that I have this all set up, I believe we are live on TikTok, which will definitely help. Let me get all this set up. So hello to our TikTok viewers. We were just talking on YouTube about what's going on here. So what's going on is we have a potential nor'easter setup for early next week. And this is, usually the time of the year where many people are getting out, doing their shopping, or they're getting their packages delivered. That's always an option too, but things could slow down that delivery process because we are dealing with a potential winter storm here. So I'm going to go through all of the latest, and we're going to go through a full forecast here. But if you have any questions at any point about what is going on with this winter storm, if you want a specific forecast for your area, we could always dive into that as well. So leave any comments or questions in the chat. I have both chats popped up just on my iPad, which is right over here. So if you see me looking over here, that's why I'm looking to see if we have any questions in the chat. And let's get right into your forecast. So I actually want to start back right around now. So right now we have this dip in the jet stream here. Okay. There we go. Pivotal weather was just being weird. But we have this dip in the jet stream right here. That is actually corresponding to a winter storm that is moving into the Great Lakes region right now. We've already seen some snowfall totals upwards of a foot in areas of north central Iowa, over 8 inches in the Chicagoland area. So a very significant winter storm already underway across many areas of the Great Lakes region. Now, as we go throughout the next few days, we're going to see this trough. So Sunday, this trough starts to move into the northeast and many areas across the higher elevations of the northeast. So areas of central Pennsylvania into the Adirondacks of New York, probably going to start out as snow, switch to rain. The only area that I think stays as all snow is in areas of northern and interior Maine. Then that system moves off the East Coast, and right behind it we have this next setup. And we're going to talk a little bit more in just a second here about how a temperature gradient that is going to be setting up behind this current storm system is going to impact this next winter storm. So let me just do this real quick. All right, so here is the trough that we're going to be talking about. Now I'm gonna go through a few terms here that is going to kind of help us out here. So we have this trough right here. Now I'm drawing with my cursor here. I don't know how well you can see it. The axis of this trough. So if you remember back to high school math class, that this line, this linear line that I'm drawing here, has a positive slope. So we're going to call this a positively tilted trough. And as we go throughout the beginning of next week, we're going to remain having this positively tilted trough. So now when we're talking about winter storms, and that's what we're talking about for early next week, when we talk about winter storms, usually the stronger a low pressure system will get is when we have a negatively tilted trough axis. Here we have a positively tilted trough axis. This is according to the European ensemble model. And because of this positively tilted trough, we're going to see probably a weaker winter storm. But that moves through Tuesday into Wednesday in the Northeast. And I think that we could see, depending on where this storm sets up, somewhere is going to get at least 3 inches of snow, maybe even approaching a half a foot. It's not going to be that fluffy snow, though. It is going to be that wet, packable, kind of a pain to shovel snow. So again, if you just joined, leave a comment in the comment section down below if you have any questions about this winter storm or anything. I have both chats, both YouTube and TikTok, pulled up right here on my iPad that is connected to my computer. So if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. I will answer them to the best of my ability. But now we're looking at, this is Tuesday around 1 p.m. Eastern time. And this is right around when we're going to be seeing this storm system slide into the northeast. Now, I want to draw your attention to right here. This is at 850 millibars, so just above the surface. Not our surface temperatures, but pretty close. And we have this temperature gradient here between the Great Lakes region and the southeast. Now, one thing about low pressure systems is that they typically tend to follow these temperature gradients. And that's going to set something up here that as this storm system moves through, we're going to see it kind of follow this temperature gradient through North Carolina and just off the coast. And depending on where this temperature gradient sets up, that is where we're going to see our low pressure system track. And as close or as far away from the coastline this gets depends on who sees the highest snowfall totals. So now I'm going to take a quick step down the rung here. Now we're looking at our precipitable water. So this is where we are looking at which areas are going to be more moist or have more moisture and which areas are going to be drier. So obviously we're going to have high pressure filling in behind this storm system. So the central portion of the United States, Tuesday into Wednesday, probably going to be drier. But here, just off the coast, is when we're going to see this low pressure system starting to take place here. You can see it in these contours right here. Here's our area of lower pressure just off the coast of North Carolina. And our PWAT anomalies are positive here. So we're going to see more moisture close to the coast. Now, as this storm system moves to the northeast, we'll see that this model or this ensemble model is taking one of the two potential tracks that we're going to be seeing. And again, if you have any questions about any of this, please drop them in the chat. I have both chats up here to my right. So as this system moves out, this model has us further offshore. So since this is farther off the coast, we're going to see more impacts closer to the coast. So this is a track scenario that could favor southern New England and areas closer to the I-95 corridor. And this is going to be very impactful to those areas. Now, a different model showing a different result is the American model. And here is the American model here. It's showing a track very much closer to the coast. So our low pressure here is just off the coast of Cape Cod. And because of that, we could see our impacts a little bit further inland. So we're talking, instead of our impacts being in, Hartford, Connecticut, Boston, Massachusetts, and closer to, Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, even though I think Philadelphia will probably be a predominantly rain event no matter what track this storm takes, we're looking at more of a State College, Pennsylvania, Albany, New York, into Manchester, New Hampshire, seeing the impacts of this storm in this scenario. So there's the two big differences, right? We have our American model that has this piece of energy in the Rockies, brings in some Gulf moisture. We could see some mixed precipitation as far south as Arkansas, and then into the northeast. This takes a little bit further west of a track, and that leads to more snowfall in areas like Pennsylvania, upstate New York, into the Green and White Mountains of Vermont and New Hampshire, and into Maine. Our European model, on the other hand, is a little bit farther out to sea. So you still have this piece of energy here in the Four Corners region, brings in some Gulf moisture, but you can noticeably see that there's a little bit more of a disconnect, and then these two pieces kind of phase together a little later. This low pressure system a little bit further off the coast, and then we're seeing those darker blue contours, so that heavier snow closer to areas like Scranton, Allentown, closer to Harrisburg, not in New York City or Philadelphia, but just to the northwest. Areas like Hartford, Connecticut, Boston, Massachusetts could see some heavier snowfall totals. But again, we're not talking a ton of significant snow. It's more so just like this. Here's the European model. This 3 to 6 inch of very wet, heavy snow that is going to be the main player. So this is our current output from the European model, showing a widespread 1 to 3 inches. Again, wet, heavy snow, the snowball making snow, the snowman making snow, the snow that's really annoying to shovel. That's what we're talking about potentially across the board. No matter where this low pressure system goes, it's going to be that wet, heavy snow. But the main target here is the Jersey Highlands, into the Catskills of New York, the Poconos of Pennsylvania, down into the Lehigh Valley, getting closer to the Shenandoah Valley, but kind of in the higher elevations of Maryland to the northwest of DC. That's what the European model is showing. Now, if we go to the American model, you can see things tend to shift northwest because that low track is a little bit further to the north and west. And the GFS also has a much heftier total snowfall. So, right, kind of has, State College in that 3 to 6 inch range of heavy snow. Albany getting close to that 6-inch amount, getting closer to the Litchfield Hills of Connecticut, the Berkshires, into the Taconics, getting closer to that 6 to 12-inch range of that heavy wet snow. Manchester, New Hampshire, and into Maine, seeing closer maybe even to 8 inches of snow. Could maybe even see 10-inch amounts, according to this model. And then our Canadian model kind of falls right in between, a little bit lower on the snowfall totals, but still that more inland track. So let's break this all down here. So this is our December 1st through 3rd snowstorm. I think the snowfall zone, so the totals are going to vary again based on what track this storm takes, but the area that is going to be seeing all snow no matter what is going on is areas from Illinois all the way up through Maine. We're kind of following the I-90 corridor in Massachusetts, down the I-84 the I-84 corridor in Connecticut, the Jersey Highlands saying all snow, but then down the I-81 corridor in Pennsylvania, and then eventually into West Virginia. The battle zone, this is where you're going to be switching back and forth from snow to rain, maybe back to snow on the back end, depending on the snow track, is going to be right along the I-95 corridor. So the most populated region of the country is going to be in that battle zone, where depending on our low track, you could see an all snow event, especially in areas of southern New England. Or you could see a snow to start and then rain and then back to snow track, like many areas maybe near the Chesapeake Bay region. No matter what, I think we'll see a pretty good amount of freezing rain in areas of southern Virginia and maybe the very northwestern portion of North Carolina. This is because we're going to be seeing some cold air damming. So basically the winds, because of a high pressure system that'll set up in between the storm system that we're tracking right now and the storm system next week, is going to be setting up just off the coast of Maine. And that's going to be pushing in some colder air, and that's going to leave a low-lying cold air mass right near the surface, and that could lead, even though rain is falling, it'll freeze right on impact. And then I think in the west here, so areas of northern Arkansas, areas of Missouri, Illinois, close to the Ohio River Valley there, could be some mixed precipitation as we go throughout this event. So let's kind of detail those two tracks, right? We were just talking about this. You have this low pressure system that is going to be off the coast near North Carolina, near the Outer Banks, and you have this first track here, which is a little bit closer to the coastline, and that's going to favor these areas that are in this solid blue shading. This coastal track, the snowfall targets State College, Albany, Manchester, Portland, Maine. Then track number 2 is more of your ideal nor'easter setup, right? The ideal nor'easter setup to get snow along the I-95 corridor. Although this will be taking a little bit of a more east-northeast instead of straight northeast track. So I think that Philadelphia probably still going to miss out on any sort of significant snowfall. Same thing in DC, probably not going to be getting any accumulating or plowable snowfall. But this second track, which is what our European model is currently targeting, favors Allentown, Pennsylvania, Hartford, Connecticut, Boston, Massachusetts for snowfall. So that's the rundown of what this system is going to do. For my TikTok viewers, I also have the radar pulled up for Chicago right now, and that is just kind of recapping what our current storm system looks like. Actually, let's take a look at that bugger. So let's take a look at the current storm system here. And again, please, if you guys have any questions about this storm system that we're currently seeing across areas of the Great Lakes region going into your Sunday, I know Sunday is a huge travel day. And our next week's storm system, please drop them in the chat. I am more than happy to answer or clarify anything that I just said. I just went through the whole forecast discussion for you guys. But no matter what, I can clarify anything there. So here's our storm system. Let's speed this up a little bit. So we had a low pressure system in the Central Plains that's starting to work its way into the Great Lakes region. Right now, we're starting to see some precipitation moving into eastern Ohio and into Pennsylvania. That is going to start out as snow, but then eventually shift over to rain. So here is our storm system in its entirety. Many of these areas, so you can see that there's a big difference here. This shield of precipitation, predominantly going to be snow. But we'll see some heavier bands of snowfall, especially right now in northwest Pennsylvania, starting to move in there. Some heavier bands across areas of Michigan right now. Chicago starting to get onto the back end of this system. And on the back end of this system, we're going to see a very polar Arctic air mass move in. So even though these numbers here, 10 decibels compared to Z, doesn't look very impressive on radar, we still saw, since Minneapolis was basically in this contour all day today, Minneapolis still saw 3 to 6 inches of snow. Areas of Iowa on the back end of the system, kind of the hot spot, saw closer to a foot, maybe even a foot and a half of snow. Chicago, I've seen reports upwards of 8 to 10 inches. Then we're moving into Michigan, where areas could see another 6 to 12 inches of snow. So a very, okay, just checking my notification center on TikTok right now. So again, any questions, comments, concerns, anything you guys want me to cover, drop it in the chat. I am more than happy to answer any of your guys' questions. I am a student meteorologist at Penn State, so I can at least, pretend like I know what I'm talking about. But I know what's going on here. We could talk about that a little bit more. So I do want to talk about here, while I have this all up, let's actually pull up another tab, another Pivotal Weather tab. And we're going to talk about the cold air mass that is moving in behind this storm system that is currently in the central portion of the country. I'm actually going to use a higher resolution model here to display just how brutally cold it is going to be. So this is just standard temperature. This is not your feels like temperature. So this is what this model initialized with. I think we have, yes, we do have a newer model. Cool. We'll use the latest and greatest. So right now, across areas of the northern plains, the Dakotas, parts of Nebraska, Wyoming, Montana. Montana right now initializing at negative 11 degrees Fahrenheit. That is brutal. And this Arctic air mass is going to be seeping in behind this storm system. A very strong low pressure system moving out. So we have Minneapolis during the day on Sunday, most likely not getting out of the 20s. And then as we go into Monday, we'll see, let's see here. By Monday, around 19Z. Yeah, not even getting out of the teens. So a brutally cold Arctic air mass, and eventually that's going to set up this temperature gradient for a potential nor'easter next week. So that's kind of the deal here. We're seeing a very, very, very chilly stretch across many areas of the northern plains and into the Great Lakes region, into the northeast as well. So let's kind of take things back here. I just want to go through kind of our overall setup one more time. So let's go in here. Let's take a look at our setup overall. Kind of going to go back here and cover what's going on. So here's our trough that's associated with this system that is moving through areas of the Great Lakes region right now, bringing heavy snow to Chicago, northern Iowa throughout the day today. Minnesota got a decent bit, in southern Minnesota especially. Now moving into Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, into Pennsylvania. And as we go overnight tonight and into tomorrow, we could see a changeover from some snow to rain, and then back to snow in many areas across Pennsylvania, New York, and into New England, just because we have this strong low pressure system pulling up some warmer air mass just from the Gulf, and kind of what we call a warm tongue. So high computer load detected. Oh well. So yeah, so this system is going to have a warm tongue that is going to poke up into areas of Pennsylvania, New York, and into New England throughout the day. On your Sunday, that's going to switch some snow over to rain and then probably back to snow after the cold front moves through. But then this system moves out. We get northwesterly flow here. Our trough starts to dig in to areas of the Four Corners region. That's our first piece of energy. Then we'll get that system to kind of connect to this polar air mass up here and bring in some cooler conditions and drift this temperature gradient just far enough south that we can get a storm system popping up here. Now, again, not going to be a huge weather maker. We're talking more so on the forefront of maybe a half a foot to 8 inches of snow in our jackpot zones, because this trough, this dip in our jet stream, is a positively tilted trough. So it's a very weak trough, and we'll see it kind of slide off fairly quickly. And let's see, if we go throughout, we'll have an Arctic front move through the Northeast later in the week. That could bring in an extremely cold air mass. I mean, some of these height values, 3,700 meters, 370 meters, mark that, sorry. 370 meters are our height between basically the surface and 500 millibars, so like the middle of the atmosphere. And the smaller that height, right, that's usually the colder it is, because cold air is more dense. It'll bring those two layers closer together. So that's something to watch out for next week. Maybe another trough that digs in towards the weekend. That would be something to watch as well. But overall, here's our 850 temperature gradients kind of lining up right along the coastline here. And as we go through the end of the week, when that Arctic front comes through, I mean, we'll take a look at this actually, which is straight normal temperature, but brutally cold air moving into the Northeast by the end of the week. At least that's what this ensemble model is showing. So this isn't just one model. This is about 51 models put together and averaged out, and we're getting some very cold air across areas of the Northeast, and that's probably going to suppress our storm track south if we do get something over the weekend. That would be probably more of a southern slider system moving along this temperature gradient here across areas of the Carolinas. So we'll take a look at the deterministic models in just a second, just for fun. But yeah, very, very cold it's looking like. We can kind of see it a little bit here after our storm system that we were just talking about moves through. Right in here, just where these P-Watt anomalies, because right, snow is way less dense than rain. So when it comes down to it, our P-Watt anomalies here are going to strongly favor rain. So probably a little rainier towards the middle of next week along the Gulf Coast of Texas. But right in here where we get a little less brown in the Northeast, that's our Arctic front moving in. Then a dry and cold air mass moves in. This is a high pressure system right here Friday into Saturday. And it looks like Saturday, yeah, will favor a more southern storm track. And then on the northern side of this, could see maybe another, what you would, I guess, consider a nor'easter, but definitely less significant than Tuesday. And then let's see what it has after that. Not much. At this point, you get a little bit closer to just a straight average where kind of everything meets in the middle. But let's actually take a look here at the euro. This is the euro actually. And let's go back to just straight up what you would see on a radar. So our simulated radar precipitation type and rate here, if it wants to load, that would be lovely. Awesome. All right, so here's our current storm system here, moving through, and that's going to be continuing to deliver some hefty snowfall amounts across areas of Wisconsin and Michigan. And then eventually we'll see this kind of shift into the Northeast. Again, many areas of the Northeast probably going to start out as snow, shift to rain, and then probably back to snow if we get any wraparound showers. The only area that stays all snow is interior Maine, and that's where you could pick up maybe closer to 3 to 6 inches of snow there. But again, showing a system starting to pop up here in the Four Corners region. This piece of energy combines with some Gulf moisture, and the Euro has a much more, let's see, actually, we have an 18Z run now. Okay, so this website is bugging, but yeah, it's still favoring more of a Southern New England system, a Southern New England event here. Much farther off the coast, this low pressure track on the European model compared to the GFS. Here's that Arctic front Wednesday into Thursday. Probably going to bring maybe a brief dusting to areas of the Northeast, and then this has a much more significant system for the weekend. But let's go to our temperature map here, and just wanted to show you here. After that Arctic front moves through Thursday, you can see it right here. There's your Arctic front. As that moves through the Northeast, we could see low temperatures Friday morning. We have 10 degrees here in State College, 3 degrees in Scranton. We have 12 degrees in New York City, 6 degrees in Hartford, 1 degree in Albany. What does that say? 10 degrees in Burlington, just because you have the lake keeping things warm there. But just inland, I mean, we're getting close to minus 10. That is brutal cold after that Arctic front. And I do think that that'll end up suppressing our storm track further off to the south. But again, we're talking 144 hours out, so that's something that we'll have to watch. So any questions at all, drop them in the chat. I am more than happy to answer any. You know, it's really strange, you know, because we were talking about this the last time I went live. Every single time I go live on TikTok, I get some, like, copyright strike saying that I'm, you know, using other people's content. But, like, I'm not using anybody's content. So, might have to chalk up another TikTok stream because it just does not like me. So, you know what? TikTok, it's been great. I don't think anybody's even in this chat anymore because suppressing it so much. So we're gonna end the TikTok stream. We're done with the TikTok stream. Yep. Ending the TikTok stream. Cool. Great. I don't get why it did that. But whatever. Oh well. We move on. So YouTube is where it's at. Let me restore my chat because I don't have to have you guys over my TikTok chat anymore. So yeah, let's take a look here. We're just going to go to weather.gov. So yeah, these are all for that previous storm system, but I wanted to go to the Weather Prediction Center. Let's see. Not graphical, right? They redesigned this website, and now I can't get to the Weather Prediction Center. So we're just going to go to the WPC. All right. Sure, we can get there from here. It's really such a struggle now on the new weather.gov website to really do anything.
Hi, and welcome.
What are we doing here? All right. We're done. WPC. Here we go. That took a much longer stretch of time than I thought. So, oh, okay. Why is this not is going on. Buffering. Interesting. Hold up, folks. We have an error here. Let me see if I can increase my bit rate. I don't know what's going on, but it's saying my stream health is poor. That's wonderful. All right, I do not know what is causing this issue. Which is really annoying. And I do not know how to stop that. I guess we'll start with this. And then I guess I gotta close out some of these tabs. So I think it's just using up more of my CPU than I wanted. I have no clue what's going on. Da, 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 da. All right, well, it says excellent connection again. Or I'm gonna slow down the CPU usage on my laptop here. So I guess we'll switch my video encoder as well. Okay. I think we're good. All right. Cool. Sorry for that mess. Thank you all for sticking with me. We are back and ready for more. So, and then I guess we can get rid of the TikTok live thing. Cool. So now we're back. We're good. We're good to go. So if anybody has any questions about any of this, we're talking about a snowstorm potentially in the Northeast. So this is what the Weather Prediction Center is having on their feed, which is interesting because that is the European model output. This is for Monday into Tuesday morning. Actually, this is a very inland track. I'm wondering. Yeah, so the Weather Prediction Center is showing that inland track from the GFS, or not an inland track, but that coastline track. So what they're talking about here is track 1. So that's targeting State College, Albany, New York, Manchester, New Hampshire, Portland, Maine. So that's favoring this area here in blue. I want to try something real quick. Let's do this 1D viewer. So weirdly enough, the page that I usually use, so this is Hartford, Connecticut, showing predominantly snow and showing about 3 inches of snow in Hartford. This is the national blend of models. So I can look up any airport code here. So I'm going to look up KUNV because this is State College Regional Airport, showing an 80% chance of snow and showing about 2.8 inches of snow. So that's interesting. So this is basically, we're just kind of diagnosing here. Assuming, yeah. So obviously JFK going to be all rain. What about Boston Logan Airport? I'm interested to see if this is showing definitely that coastline track. But it's showing here, so this is the predominant precip type, is the line here on the top, excuse me. So it's showing snow to rain to snow. So it's showing 2.5 inches of snow but it's also showing 1.37 inches of rain, which means it is favoring a snow to rain to snow, but I guess an initial thump of snow, 2.5 inches. The other way to look at this, map wall. So this is the Penn State map wall, and this is the new e-wall. And we can go to the NBM viewer. All right, so I want to zoom into the northeast and then switch everything to the northeast. All right, so let's go first with trying to set up everything here to my liking. So we'll go temperature, cloud cover, sure. We don't need visibility, so we'll switch that to total snowfall. This goes out the next 120 hours, so 5 days, and this is the 0Z run. So this is the latest model run. It says it's all in here at this point. So, and this bottom right panel here, so I can pop this out, is going to show total snowfall. So usually I like to go through and I'm like, okay, let's look at the 72-hour snowfall, 3 days, because then that eliminates this previous storm system. But this is still showing a total of 8 to 10 inches of snow across areas of Michigan. Very impressive. If anybody lives in central, the central U.S. and you guys got snow today, drop your snowfall totals in the chat, because I've seen some snowfall reports of close to 12 to 15 inches. All right, so the NBM is showing that inland track. So State College, 3.15 inches of snow. Don't know why this is all in. I'm going to have to talk to somebody about this. Everything here is in hundredths of an inch. We do not measure snow in hundredths of an inch. But I guess since this is a model blend, this is taking the straight average. But really showing the jackpot here being areas of down east Maine getting over a half a foot. Anything in this yellow contour here is a half a foot of snow. So Albany, close to 3.5 inches of snow, 6.3 inches of snow. I don't even know what this is based on, because Brattleboro, New Hampshire's here. So I'm guessing Brattleboro, Vermont's here. So I'm assuming this is Keene, New Hampshire. Portland, 6.5 inches of snow. And then areas inland getting closer to maybe 10 inches of snow. So really interesting, because our total accumulation, yeah, showing a decent QPF here. So this is total accumulated precipitation. This takes into account rain, snow, sleet, anything under the sun. Just take anything that's solid, melt it down to water, add that to your total liquid that fell out of the sky, and that's what you get. So 0. So let's go here to our 120. All right. So about a half an inch liquid in State College, and that results in 3.15 inches of snow. So basically, layman's terms, this is going to be I call this concrete, right? It is that really hefty, disgusting snow, right? That's basically it'll start to compact, and it basically just acts like slush. It's just pure slush that's going to be falling out of the sky. The snow to liquid ratio, basically how much snow would fall per inch of liquid equivalent, is going to be very, very low. I actually want to see if we have, now I'm opening up a ton more tabs, so hopefully my excellent connection doesn't go away. But I'm wondering here if I can get, let's take the NAM actually. So the NAM, because that's also showing that inland track. And I just want to take a look at the Kuchera ratio. Nope, not the snowfall Kuchera. I just want to take a look at the ratio. This is me being a little bit of a weather nerd. I apologize, but I want to see what this is showing for a snow to liquid ratio across areas of the Northeast for Tuesday, because it seems like it's more of the 3 to 6. Let's go 18Z Tuesday. Yeah, so 7 or 8 inches of snow per inch of liquid across central Pennsylvania. But yeah, the real winner in terms of snow to liquid ratio would be in Maine. Very interesting. Let's take a look. Total positive snow depth change. Again, this is going to be total, so it's going to show everything. And then the latest NAM is really far inland. That is the farthest inland I've seen. Hold up. So this model, that is way, way farther inland than I've seen any model put out. Can I get just the pure simulated reflectivity? So it also has a much more vast precipitation shield throughout the day tomorrow in the Northeast than many other models. Then that moves out, and this next system moves in, and that low pressure track is way inland. I want to see is the 0Z GFS is not in. The 0Z Rufus is. So this is a high resolution model. This is a convective allowing model. So this will more accurately determine where our snow bands are going to be. And then this has, again, more of that coastline track. Yeah. So more of that coastline track. If it can load, that would be beautiful. So yeah, it's showing. Let's go through some of our major population centers here. Let's start off here. We're gonna look at DC first, because DC will be the first to get the system, obviously going from southwest to northeast. So DC, starting out here, I'm gonna start doing some mental math. We're going to start out here around 6 a.m. on Tuesday. 6 a.m. Tuesday is sleet, a few hours of sleet, switching over to rain by 8 a.m., and then staying rain throughout the rest of this event. Let's go a little bit further north to Baltimore. Baltimore, starting out, I'm going to say sleet around 7 a.m., again, a couple hours of sleet, and then switching over by 9 a.m. to all rain. Philadelphia, it shows starting out as just plain rain. So Philadelphia not showing any rain, any snowfall. Sorry about that. 8 a.m. start time, between 7 and 8 a.m., and then staying rain throughout the entirety of the event. New York City probably going to stay rain throughout the entire event no matter what. And again, this isn't like any rain. This is that cold rain. Probably the worst spot here is going to be this section if you're saying all rain. New York City, starting out as rain around 8 a.m. as well, and staying rain the entirety of the event. Hartford, Connecticut, gonna probably start out as snow around 7 to 8 a.m. on Tuesday, and then switch over to rain between, this is noon and 1 p.m. So right around your high temperature time of the day. Stay rain throughout pretty much the rest of the event, maybe a quick switch over back to snow on the very back end. Boston, we were just talking about this on our NBM 1D viewer, the National Blend of Models, showing this here. A quick thumping of snow. So snow starts here. This is around 9 a.m. Staying snow until this is 1 p.m. Then rain, and then a back to snow for a very brief period of time. This is 8 p.m. Tuesday. And then this storm system moves out to sea. This is favoring those inland areas. So let's say Albany, New York is, I think, right in here. So Albany, New York, starting out with snow around, again, 7 to 8 a.m. And then staying all snow, and it seems like a decent rates here as well of some snow. And then wrapping up around 22 minus 5, 17, 5 p.m. So right around dinner time in Albany. State College, obviously I'm a little bit encouraged by this because I go to school in State College. But State College starting out here, this is 4 a.m. Tuesday. and then staying all snow and kind of wrapping up here around 16 minus 5, so 11 a.m. So a quick little burst of snow there. Manchester, New Hampshire, I think is right in here. I'm like guesstimating these locations based on county outlines, but central New Hampshire starting out here. This is right around 9 a.m. Sorry about that. 9 a.m. Staying all snow until, call that 7 p.m. Portland, Maine is right in here. Starting out around 10 a.m. Staying all snow barely. And then this system moves out by, let's call that midnight Wednesday morning. So let's take a look at what this model here, and with these higher resolution models, I'll just do total snowfall because this is the model ratio, and usually the model ratio is better than Kuchera. So let's see, how much of this is from Sunday? I just want to make sure that we're getting everything straight here. So let's do any math that I need to. I'm going to try and remember these snowfall totals from Sunday. So 1/10 of an inch of total snowfall in State College. This website does not want to load right now. Holy hell. We are slowly moving through time here. All right. So this is Monday. So just a 1/10 of an inch here in State College. And then we finish out with, it's not going to load. All right. Well, anyway, this is in the meantime. Drop any comments in the comment section down below. Specific forecasts for Give Me Your Region. We'll take a look there as well. I wanted to do this live to kind of personalize it for any viewers out there. So, all right. So 3.5 inches of very wet, heavy snow in State College. About 3.5 inches in Scranton. 2 inches in Allentown. You know, getting closer to Harrisburg. 2.1 inches. Again, DC, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, Boston. Really not going to see much in this scenario. Even though the low track is off the coast, and typically that'll favor some snowfall, at least close to these cities, it is too early in the year. So since we are still in November, into now early December, it's going, the ocean waters are going to be too warm to keep anywhere close to the coastline as snow. Because obviously the water we considered our great moderator. And because our ocean temperatures are, I think, in the mid-50s, it's going to make the immediate coastlines above freezing. So, temperature. Yeah, so the ocean temperatures are going to be probably in this contour here. So, like mid-40s to 50 degrees. And you could just see our temperature bump up throughout the day as this slowly loads. I apologize, folks. This has been very slow this evening. But as this low pressure system moves in, right out ahead of this, after our system on Sunday, everything moves out. We get a brief shot of cold. And that's going to be great for areas inland, right? You kind of get that precursor of the cold. The cold is set in place. Your roadway temperatures, your soil temperatures, all going to drop in response to the air temperature going down significantly, especially in areas like upstate New York and Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. But as we go throughout Tuesday, right, even areas like State College, probably right after all the snow falls overnight, probably the only benefactor here for areas like State College and Scranton is most of the snow is going to fall overnight, because even you'll get above freezing. And let's actually, can I take a sounding? So this is the sounding here for, this is Scranton, PA, and this is at 3 p.m. So, and can I get a map? I used to be able to on the old Pivotal site, but just for reference here, if we go back, actually, I want to get a sounding while it's still snowing here. So just so you guys know what I'm talking about here. Let's view a sounding. And yeah, so the ground temperature is going to be 33 degrees. But right above the surface, the temperature drops significantly, as it usually does. And we have a bit of a warm nose here, but it's not warm enough to make this change over to sleet. I'm trying to see here, precipitable water about a ½ an inch. Yeah, so not terrible. And because of these surface temperatures being in the mid-30s throughout much of this event, it's going to make sure that when the snow is falling, it's going to be that very dense snow. And then the other thing you kind of have to be concerned about, especially in these areas where the snow is primarily going to be falling overnight, and then you get into the mid-30s throughout the day, on the back side of this low pressure system, we're going to see temperatures dropping into the 20s across areas of like northern Pennsylvania, throughout northern New York as well. Now, areas like inland Maine that could see like half a foot of snow from this, probably not going to be too concerned, just because the low pressure track is going to be well off the coast. But very interesting. I mean, Portland is such a special case here because just off the coast, your temperature is 40 degrees. Just on the coast, it goes down to 30. That's impressive. But once this kind of moves out, we'll see our temperature drop significantly again. So flash freeze is definitely a potential on the back side of this, especially if you get significant melting further west, where most of this will be falling overnight. So call it areas like Pittsburgh, State College, even getting close to Harrisburg. I mean, Harrisburg, your high temperature on Tuesday is 41. And any sort of snow that falls, again, is going to be a significant, insignificant amount in all due sense. 2.1 inches in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, probably not the biggest deal in the world, but you get up to 40 degrees, probably an inch of that is melting throughout the day on Tuesday, and then overnight you get back down to freezing. So anything that did melt is refreezing on the ground. That's a huge black ice potential as you're going out and getting to work Wednesday morning. So areas that are probably going to stay away from that, Philadelphia could get right to 32 degrees. New York could stay just above freezing, but areas with this model, at least, showing again, we're talking about track number 1 here being predominant across many of our models right now, and that's going to leave these areas here in pink along the I-95 corridor staying in either a all rain scenario, like areas like Philadelphia, New York, the Cape Cod, DC, Baltimore, starting out maybe as sleet and then switching right over to rain, and then areas even closer, Harrisburg being like brief instances of snow overnight, and then you're getting into some significant melting, and then you're bouncing right back with temperatures back below freezing. So that's a very interesting case. Harrisburg, especially because 2 inches of that wet, sloppy snow, and is whatever you want to describe it. I call it concrete, but yeah, brutal. Let's see, what's the liquid equivalent here? So I think we're talking, yeah. So about a ½ an inch of liquid equivalent in the Harrisburg area up through the Poconos, and if that melts during the day and then refreezes at night, we're going to have a significant black ice potential throughout areas of the Ridge and Valley region of Pennsylvania, into the Capital region, and into the Northeast and the Poconos. State College, about showing 0.4 of an inch of liquid equivalent there. Could see some of that melt and then refreeze. So a very messy couple days. Again, if anybody has any questions, comments, just wants to give a good chat, how was your Thanksgiving? We can get that going in the chat as well. But we're talking here about a potential snowstorm across areas of the the Northeast. We're looking at one of our high resolution models showing. Actually, let's take a look at, I guess, the Kuchera ratio for this. Showing potentially 6 to 8 inches of snow in down east Maine throughout areas of New Hampshire. This is actually showing even less snow. Actually, I think this is because this is 24-hour. Yeah, that's why. So 6 to 8 inches of snow across down east Maine throughout areas of the White Mountains. Could see closer to 10 inches of snow. The Green Mountains in Vermont probably going to see 6 or 7 inches of snow. I apologize for anybody over the age of 25 that just saw that, but I had to. I'm in college. I get to. So areas of southern New Hampshire could see 5 to 8 inches of snow as we go through. The Poconos could see 4 to 6 inches of snow. State College, right? I'm going back there tomorrow. And could see 4 inches of snow. Definitely an interesting setup here, where areas like Hartford, Connecticut, barely getting anything. The Litchfield Hills. I'm from Connecticut, so I know some of these smaller microclimates. But yeah, maybe even a half a foot of snow. So anywhere that stays all snow, probably gonna pick up about 3 to 5 inches of snow. If you're far enough north, I would say, I guess, north of I-90. Anywhere that stays all snow and you're north of I-90, probably going to pick up a good half a foot of snow. And again, that's just because of the upper levels behind this, right? If we go back out to our national view, as it slowly loads, and can I get upper level? Oh, perfect. I can do this. That's great. Most high-resolution models don't let you go up pretty high. But now it's got to load. So our trough, so basically everything in the atmosphere kind of interconnects itself. So as we go from, this is right around where your airplanes will be flying. So, 18 to 20,000 feet in the air. As we go throughout our Monday into our Tuesday, we're not going to see a very strong trough axis, right? The wind speeds will be strong, sure, but the trough axis, that's very important when we're talking about low pressure systems. This is a positively tilted trough, and even kind of getting close to, as we go throughout this event, a neutrally tilted trough. And again, this goes back to your high school math class, your high school algebra class. We're just talking about the slope of this dip in the jet stream. And the main trough axis here has a positive slope. So we call it a positively tilted trough. And when you're looking at the very strong, I'm trying to see actually, maybe this current system, because we had a very impactful snowstorm throughout the day today. And that dumped over a foot of snow across areas of Iowa. I'm trying to see if this was a negatively tilted trough, because that'll help explain my point here real quick. Kind of. It was more of a neutrally tilted trough, but it did eventually go more negative. So a negatively tilted trough will, I guess, kind of enhance low pressure development. A positively tilted trough, less so. So we're tracking a positively tilted trough throughout the day on Tuesday and into Wednesday, and that is going to keep this low pressure system relatively weak. We're not going to be talking about those major nor'easters that, dump feet of snow, because it's early December and the air overall is going to be a little bit warmer than what we typically see in late December, early January. And also the fact that throughout this event, we're going to be seeing a positively tilted trough going maybe neutrally tilted. And that is not going to encourage strong low pressure development. We'll see as we go throughout the middle to end of the week, we'll see a Arctic front moving through the Northeast. So waking up Friday morning, areas of the Northeast, your low temperature could be below 20 degrees for the most part. So definitely be sure to take any precautions here. Let's actually see. Actually, this doesn't go out that far. But this is very close to the GFS. So it seems like our higher resolution models are showing the GFS is a better model output. And this is not going to be far enough. So let's go back a model run. Hopefully this can work for me. So yeah, 12Z, Friday morning, Albany, New York, 9 degrees. Hartford, Connecticut, 15 degrees. State College, Pennsylvania, 11 degrees. Scranton, 10 degrees. Pittsburgh, 15 degrees. Chicago, 4 degrees. And that's just because of the lake, because you go just to England, it's minus 16, folks. That is outrageous. Just absolutely brutal. I actually want to check here. Let's take a look. This is my genuine curiosity kind of poking in here. I want to see. I guess let's go almanac data for a day. This is next Friday, so December 5th. But I want to go back 1 year. So December 5th, 2024 in Chicago. And let's use, I don't know if they have, I'm going to use Midway Airport. Midway Airport, their low temperature was 13 degrees. This year, we're expecting 4 degrees in Chicago Friday morning. So this is Friday, December 5th at 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Central, and we are seeing some brutal cold. I mean, what's the high temperature expected for Chicago on Friday? 21 degrees. For reference, last year was 29. So about 10 degrees lower the temperature compared to this same time last year. Let's do the same for Scranton. Scranton, we'll use the Wilkes-Barre Scranton International Airport. Observed a high of 33, a low of 26. We're expecting a low of 10 and a high of 19. So brutal Arctic outbreak potentially for the end of next week. So just insane. But yeah, been live for an hour. We're going to probably cut it off here in a couple minutes. But before I go, you have my ear in the chat. Let me know any questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to share. Please let me know. Otherwise, this was a great live. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. I want to do these a little bit more often than I have been doing them, but especially if we do get this potential nor'easter set up. I guess the last thing I'll do here is I'll check our snowfall reports from the last 24 hours because we've seen some significant snow across areas of the Great Lakes region here. So wow, look at this. So I guess Des Moines underperformed my forecast was a foot to 2 feet, kind of getting them in that 12 to 14 inch amount. Seems like just outside of Des Moines, they got close to 10 inches. Des Moines International Airport, this was at 1 p.m. So this is a while ago, but they recorded about 7 inches. Let's see. My forecast for Minneapolis was spot on. 3 inches. I have them in the 3 to 6 inch range. And again, this event isn't over yet. Chicago, I had you guys in the 6 to 12 inch range. And as of 7 p.m., 7 inches. Areas to the west, closer to 8. This was at 6:10 p.m. Eastern time. Now we're getting into areas like Indiana, getting into the 10-inch range. Wow. Look at this, a foot of snow in Pana, Illinois. So it seems like overall, I think this is these snowfall totals here were from the lake effect snow event. Westmoreland, New York, 25 inches of lake effect snow. That's insane. Lucky you guys. But yeah, I guess we'll do the last 6 hours here. Actually, let's see if I can get something within the last hour. Last hour. So these were reports within the last hour. Dubuque, Iowa. This was 1 mile west of Dubuque, Iowa. 12 inches of snow. Oh, I can't do that, huh? All right. I do not want to click on these. All right. Last 3 hours. Dubuque, Iowa. 12 inches of snow. Cedar Rapids, 11.7. Not going to pronounce that. Marion, 11. Gutenberg, Iowa, 11. Climbers, Indiana. That's a interesting way to spell climbers. 10.7. Pleasant Valley, Iowa, 10.2. Fenton, Iowa, 10.2. Chain of Lakes, Indiana, 10 inches. Granger, Indiana, 10 inches. Plymouth, Indiana, 10 inches. Idaville, Indiana, 10 inches. Monticello, Indiana, 10 inches. Really impressive snowfall totals. Over the last 6 hours, Fort Dodge, Iowa, 15 inches of snow. What about the last 12 hours? Yeah, Fort Dodge, Iowa. Bread winner. I mean, in general, what is this? US 20. The US 20 corridor of Iowa really cashed in on today's snowfall event. A consistent 12 to 15 inches of snow. Absolutely insane. But hey, I would give anything to get that sort of winter. Hopefully when I'm either at school or back home. Because, yeah, I'm a snow lover. I love talking about this stuff. So if you guys haven't noticed by the fact that I've been yapping about snow for the last hour. But, yeah. That's about it, folks. I have nothing left to talk about. I mean, I've been talking for an hour already. So if you guys ever have any questions, any comments, feel free to pop them on my community tab. I will answer any questions. I am very much willing to, I guess, I love to interact with you guys. So if you have any questions coming up about this snowfall event that will be popping up in the next few days, I mean, Monday night into Tuesday, not that far away. Maybe we'll stream again tomorrow night when we have a little bit more of an idea of what's going on. But yeah, this is what we're talking about. Potentially, a quick 3 to 6 inches, 6 to 12 inches of snow across areas of the Northeast. It is winter, folks. Winter is here. Starting midnight Monday morning, it is meteorological winter. That is my favorite time of the year. May not be yours, but it's mine. But at any time, pop any questions, comments, factoids. As long as it's weather-related, pop it in my community tab. I will get back to you at any point. For coverage on this storm system, I'll be posting. I usually like to post 2 shorts per day pertaining to weather across the country. But probably going to be at least 1 short-form video tomorrow about this. Probably after I wake up in the morning before I have to head back to school because my Thanksgiving break's over. Probably going to post 1 short-form video on this. So subscribe to this channel, and we will see how this nor'easter shapes out going into next week. But I'm going to end the stream there, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and have a great rest of your night.